Welcome back to the channel. We're going over the SP 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Before we get into anything, as usual, I like to be as transparent as possible. Now, I did have a SPY position and then had an NVIDIA position, which I cut a little bit earlier, but I got a SPY position throughout the day and I mentioned it on Twitter. So I just wanted to discuss that before I go any further. And I wanted to just say, how much I lost in that trade. It wasn't huge. It wasn't anything crazy, but I just always like to be transparent with you guys. So that was about a $400 loss on there. And I want to go into specifically what happened on this week and I believe where I went wrong. Okay. Before we get into that, I have to ask you to do two things: like and subscribe. I make videos for you every single day, so you are ready and you understand what's happening on the market. Now, you have to understand this is not financial advice. This is all just my opinion and how we're moving going forward. That being said, I try to be as unbiased as possible and always give you the truth as I see it. When I'm wrong, I like to admit it, and I think today is going to be a very corrective day. And I've been wrong before and I've admitted it. Nothing new. We're going to do a little bit of that today. Let's get to it. So first thing I do want to say is, one, if you just watch and look at thumbnails, I don't believe that credits the channel enough. But yeah, there's always a little bit clickbaity. This video may even have clickbait on it. I haven't even made it yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But I do want to say something. If we look at what happened going into today, we got some pretty good movement. We got some really good movement. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. We had that head and shoulders play out and you shot down. Now, where I went wrong, and this is just me being transparent, and this is what I recommend everyone to do, not just me. And I kind of want to use this as a learning day for you guys also. And we're going to go over what's happening on the market and where I see us going also. But let's just break this down in depth. As we look at something like the 15 minutes to really get a good look at what happened on the week, we were right to be bearish, right? We had that thesis. You came up to that top level, double top there, got rejected at supply and shot down. You're kind of in supply right now, but you moved down, right? We had that right all week. We were playing it right based on data and how we saw it to come out. A lot of our positions got green. They were profitable, everything like that. But like December, I think I was shooting for too much, maybe too soon. And what do I mean by that? And, I'm not a perfect trader and you're not a perfect trader. No one is. But what I was talking about in December was heavily about the range that you were in, right? We talked about this range from November 10th, essentially all the way until like December 15th. And if you kept trying to short the lows, you just continued to get popped up, pop up, pop up. That's why I always say when you're in this range, just play the range back and forth. But ultimately, you want to end these days pretty liquid, just from my personal experience. Now, as we look at what's happened, you kind of trended down, and then we just created another range. If we really look from essentially December 26th till right now, January 6th, so almost 2 weeks, give or take. And that's where you're sitting, back in this range, and you popped up from this. Now, my viewpoint, my speculation going into this was all based on data and a lot of fundamentals, really. You had some technicals, but it was a lot of fundamentals. And if we look at what's happened from this data, going to that calendar, you can see our unemployment rate continues to drop while demand continues to drop also. This is concerning, and I don't want to make this about too much of the future when we're looking forward to in the market. And I'll have that video on Sunday really going in depth about the market in general. But this right here is just bearish for me personally. And I'll go into that a little bit more here in a second, but I just want to say that right now. And so I just started playing it over and over, trying to get that big break, right? I wasn't comfortable with that 15, 20%, right? I got really aggressive down here. And I think that was my issue. And really, if I'm looking at this, just to let you know, this wasn't confirmation of a breakdown. As I look at this, I always try to find flaws in my trading system and, where I went wrong. If you're not looking to find out and try to correct your issues, you're probably making a huge mistake. But ultimately, this was your range where you were bouncing at a few wicks below, obviously. You can see we retested and shot back down multiple times, and that was awesome. But if you really look at what happened here, you kind of just made another, bounce off that bottom. Bulls started to show up finally. That being said, looking at that volume as well today, I watched the volume all day. I still saw the volume was good, and I decided to enter another put. I was getting biased with my own trading. Now, I try to be unbiased always here, but there's going to be bias sometimes when I trade based on my viewpoint of the market. You're going to have it. I'm going to have it. And we're seeing good volume today. You're seeing 71 million. Your average 30-day volume is 79 million, I believe, on SPY. You still have an hour left to trade, power hour, and then after hours. I assume you're going to get close to 80 to 90 million, possibly even 100. So I would assume 85 to 90 on the high end, closer to 100. You're getting that here. What did I say though? When you get most likely a confirmation of a pivot based on volume, you're getting the volume now. Now it's not incredible. It's not the best that we've seen. It's something though. It's not as bad as it's been. So we have to acknowledge that. And again, I can't say I'm transparent if I don't acknowledge my own errors, okay? And that's what I'm doing right now. So as we look here, we'll talk about where you're at and where we're moving going forward. If we're looking here, I got to be targeting, we're in supply right now, right? So there's no real target past that. After this, you got to be targeting about 11.35 to 11.4. As of right now, bulls look really good. But what I have to say is be careful. You're at the key level. You're at the supply. If anything, again, this is like a short range opportunity. But I'm not really looking to go short because right now bulls have only showed me that they're looking to show up right now, coming in at almost 72 million with an hour left of trading, right? And then also following this data, if we have this expectation of demand is dropping, right? So then we have to expect inflation is also dropping going into CPI, which will be next Thursday. So I just come into this going into Monday of the speculation of I just want to be liquid as usual. And I just want to be like, let me just trade the action that comes Monday, the end, right? The end. So I want to say that right now. Now, if there was any key signs on the day for this continuation, and again, this comes back down to my error, right? The 15-minute chart. I basically have this level marked out around 11,000 roughly. Look what happened. You break above 11,000, you make a clear bull flag, right? Clear bull flag. Bounce, and then continue up to that next level supply. The writing on the walls were there. Again, volume proved to and justified this move. I just made the error. I got biased in my trade. And, you know, to a certain extent, I got a little bit emotional here. And I want this to be said not to just, you know, make you feel like you can trust me, but to also let you understand as a trader that you're going to get a little bit biased. You're going to have some bad days, right? You're going to. You know, ultimately here, the only thing that would have made this a great day is if we had the big fallout to the downside. I think we were starting to get into that. And then ultimately, you know, bulls showed up at the double bottom opportunity, right? So coming into this, I think I just set myself up. I was a little too aggressive. And then when I couldn't and had the opportunity to get out with a very small loss on, you know, everything in general, or to even not even trade anything for the rest of the day, or even flip to the upside based on price action happening here, I didn't take that opportunity. I sided with my own judgment rather than looking at what was right in front of me. Okay, so we have to acknowledge what was happening there. And that's just ultimately what we're seeing here. Now, going into next week again, the big things we have to be watching is going to be CPI on Thursday. This is the most important. Today's video is going to be pretty short, by the way. We're coming right into supply also here on, you know, ES, you know, everything that's supply. So I have to assume we get rejected based on technicals, but based on what the market's doing and how they're reacting to this right now, it just looks like bulls want to show up. If I just look at the market from a sentiment of what's happened from data, and how we've reacted from that data based on volume, I have to assume a breakout here. This isn't a trade that I can take for a breakout, so I just can't take it unless we break. If we get above this and then we invalidate the supply and we bounce off of it, then of course I'd be bullish and I'd trade it to the upside. But until then, I have to sit and be patient here because right now, based on my trading strategy, I expect a rejection from this point, but I'm just not comfortable based on how we've reacted so far, okay? That's where I'm at. That's what we're doing right now, and that's just ultimately how I'm moving forward. And again, I want to be transparent. The past basically week and a half roughly has been tough for my trading. Why? I've been way too aggressive on where I want to take profits. What does that mean? I'm looking for a massive breakdown, right? I'm looking for a big break. I want to see the break and then the shoot, right? So we had it here. We broke, tested, and started pushing, and then ultimately we obviously bounced, right? But I want to see the breakdown to that demand, which again, I've been talking about so much, which ultimately probably psyched me out of any type of long position, right? So these are things that I just want to push out there so you can be aware for your own trading and for you to also understand that, yes, we're right here on the channel sometimes. We're wrong here on the channel sometimes. But again, understand you got to do your own DD. You got to be you're responsible for yourself and your own trades. Now, again, I want to say something as we get out of here. I see a lot of people say don't comment, don't comment too much on what haters are saying, this or that. But again, I like to read my comments. I like to respond to you guys as much as possible. But what I will say is acknowledge the transparency that I try to present here for you guys, if you will. I appreciate it. Again, clickbaity, I understand thumbnails, you might get mad at them. But again, I try to be as transparent as possible for you. I never want you guys to assume or think that I'm leading you on in any direction or being biased or untransparent whatsoever for you guys. Again, I hate to see that, and I just don't want people to ever get that opinion from me. And again, if I'm usually wrong on this and I tell you I took a trade, then I'm red and I lost money on it, right? Understand that. Have a good one, traders. I'll see you on Sunday.